I molded you from red clay, sweet cornbread, the slow drip of a lemon squeezed over sugar and ice. I kissed you to life on the lips. Mama bird, I am. My tongue feeds you blood. I have waited in this heat for you to pucker and say my name. Hallelujah, Alabama. I give you fire and blackberries and white, thick cotton. I give you the honeybee and the yellowhammer. Find me. Swallow me down and whisper me to passers-by as you sit nightly on the creaky front porch. My name is Ashley M. Jones. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. I am the Poet Laureate of Alabama as well, and I'm a teacher and I'm a poet. I feel like I've been explaining what a Poet Laureate is to everybody, like nobody knows, you know. I'm commissioned by the governor's office to promote poetry in Alabama and to create opportunities for people to engage with poetry. I was born in 1990, so I grew up in the 90s, early 2000s. I don't know what I ever did to deserve the family that I have. It really was the best family for somebody like me. It definitely was exciting to grow up in a family where everybody had an artistic outlet. I was 7 when I first encountered poetry. In the 2nd grade, I was already in the self-contained gifted class, trying to make sure I was like proving myself to the other students. For me, it created a lot of self-doubt and feeling like I wasn't smart enough. If I didn't make a 99, I only made a 90. And I had already started to develop some self-esteem issues. I struggled with self-esteem. And I only recently discovered why that was. It actually came out of an experience in kindergarten where I had a best friend. He was a white boy. We played every single day. It was awesome. And it wasn't one of those kindergarten friendships where like you're friends today and not tomorrow. Like we were friends, you know. And we would play house every single day. He was the husband, I was the wife. We would make little fake dinner every day. It was cute. And his family came to visit one day, and I cannot forget what they looked like looking at us play house. The next day, he said he couldn't play with me. He had another girl to play with him. She was white. And they both, at every station, because there was all these stations you could go to, just kept saying, you can't play, and never gave me a reason. So I, hurt little, highly sensitive artist person that I was, decided to internalize that. And I was like, well, it must be there's something wrong with me. She's, you know, different than me. So that must be good, I must be bad. Enter an assignment from my teacher. We all had to take something we had been reading, memorize some part of it, and come to class and recite that thing in costume. For whatever reason, I had been reading this book called Honey, I Love by Eloise Greenfield. And the poem that I chose was about Harriet Tubman. And I just really latched on to that poem for some reason, and I memorized it. My mom came and dressed me up as Harriet Tubman that day. I got in front of my class. I started the poem. Harriet Tubman didn't take no stuff, wasn't scared of nothing neither, didn't come in this world to be no slave, and wasn't gonna stay one either. I remember as I recited the poem, I didn't feel ugly, I didn't feel scared, I didn't feel insecure. I felt very confident and connected to something. I didn't have the vocabulary for it then, but I just felt like I was important in a way that I'd never felt before, and that's when I knew I needed to keep in contact with that thing that made me feel that way, which was poetry. When I first started writing poetry as a little kid, as a 7-year-old person, my voice was very close to what it is now back then because I didn't have anyone telling me that it was wrong. So I wrote about family, religion, politics, Black history, the struggle, all of that. That was my thing. When I started my formal writing education, that's when I started to turn away from my authentic voice. So it wasn't until end of high school and throughout undergrad and definitely in grad school that I turned back to what I actually wanted to say, things that were more authentic to me. But when I got, closer to adulthood, I guess, and definitely in grad school when I moved away, I came back to writing about who I actually was, and a lot of that came out of being homesick for Alabama. Leaving let me see that there's so much beauty here that people are too eager to ignore. I went to Miami. I'm like looking around, nobody has an accent that's the same. There wasn't that just like hometown feel. There's just not really a place that has like this perfect pace like Birmingham and Alabama at large. There's spaces here where you can get that sort of fast city feeling. I just didn't feel that same connection to the past or even to like ideas of justice that I found here. So I missed all of that, but most of all, I missed my family. Then I was very clear with myself after maybe the first year down there of my 3 years, I was like, yeah, I'm definitely moving back. My mom, when I was a kid, she would only allow us to buy black Barbie dolls or black any kind of dolls. And as kids, we were like, what's up with this, Mom? I think we even were like, are you racist? Like, what's going on, you know? And she said, well, I didn't get to have black dolls. When she was growing up, her mom would bring dolls home from the house that she worked in. My grandma had a lot of different jobs, sharecropping, domestic work. And she told us later, you know, she didn't want us to think that we weren't beautiful or valuable, or that we couldn't imagine ourselves, or, you know, even like imagine stories in our playtime, which really is a way of imagining your future, you know, without seeing blackness. My audience first is me, because I'm experiencing the poem as well. I do feel like poetry, my poetry, is a gift. And so I'm receiving it just like everybody else. So I want to honor that process and hear it as clearly as I can. Then my next audience is people like me. So that basically means the little girl I was back in 1997 who was looking for something to feel more alive. That's who I'm writing for. And yes, it is Black people, but it's also anyone who feels marginalized in any way. But advice that I would give is to really trust your own voice and know that you have something important to offer. You're already enough exactly as you are, and you have everything to offer exactly as you are right now. Just follow your path and it will lead you to where you want to be.